Hey guys, it's Christmas, and that of course means presents. This one's going to be an end table with a couple drawers for my mother, made out of this locally sourced air-dried pine. Has some pretty neat grain in it, so I'm laying out my parts very carefully, but I'm also going to be careful cutting it. Decided to use a jigsaw rather than the chop saw, just because I don't know how much this stuff is going to move. Plus, this gives me the chance to work on the bench instead of moving the boards all over my shop. The rough rip cuts get made at the bandsaw. It turns out I made my marks on the cupped side of the board, so I'm going to flip it over so that it sits nice and stable on the bandsaw table while I'm running it through the blade, rather than having it rock all over the place. Next milling step is the jointer, and as you can see, I am right at the capacity of my 8-inch jointer here, so I decided to do this in a couple of passes. Cupped side down again for stability, so the first pass only took off the edges and left the chalk in the center, as you can see there. But the second pass gets it nice and flat. I'm taking off about a 1/16 of an inch here in each pass. I could have been more aggressive with it, but I needed 2 passes either way. Multiple passes at the planer as well. You'll see the first pass only takes off the middle of the board this time. You'll also notice a shirt change in here, and that my last pass is real shallow. I let these boards sit for a day or two after the bulk of the milling to see if they were going to move before I did my final planing operation. Turns out it didn't move much, so I didn't have to go back to the jointer. That air-dried stuff is pretty nice. Well, if you're doing panel glue-ups without a dry run, you're barking mad. It goes so much better if you make sure you have all the clamps you need and that they're all set up before you get into it. This is the top of the piece, and normally, I guess you would use biscuits, dowels, dominoes, something to help with the alignment of these two pieces. But quite frankly, when they're this short, it's probably just as easy to feel it, maybe clamp them together across the joint. My experience with biscuits and dowels anyway has been that you don't get them any closer than this is anyway. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. The thing is dead flat. The grain came together well, and I have a nice even amount of squeeze out along the whole thing. I'm gonna let this set up until the glue is rubbery, take these clamps off, scrape off the squeeze out, but I'm not gonna do anything else with it until tomorrow. With the glue dry, the panels can be sized. I've got the table saw sled out here because I don't have a square straight edge to run up against the fence. I'm also being very particular about cutting exactly to the marks that I made because I picked out a specific section of grain to be the show face on the top of this piece. The side panels do have a square edge to run against the fence, which is good because they're too big for my table saw sled. I'm still being pretty particular about where I'm cutting, even though I'm only doing one edge for now. I need 3/8 inch deep dados in the top to receive the side panels, so I'm using a pair of 3/8 drill bits to set that depth. The top panel overhangs the sides by the thickness of the stock, so I'm using my offcut to set the distance from the blade to the fence. And since these are going to be stop dados, I need a mark on the fence that indicates where the blade starts cutting. Some blue tape helps to make that more visible when I'm actually running the cut. Good dados are all about consistent pressure right over the blade, but don't be stupid. Put something other than the workpiece between that spinning metal and your hand. And when the line that you can't see gets to the blue tape that you can't see, I stop the saw and the result looks something like this. Chisels remove the bulk of the waste from the end of the dado. You got to make sure they're good and sharp, and you got to make sure you make the cross grain cuts first, otherwise this pine will splinter all over the place. Then you can bring in the router plane to smooth out the entire length of the dado, not just the corner that you had to chisel out. Do the whole thing because the dado stack is not perfect. The dados in the top piece exactly establish the width for my side panels. I marked this piece of scrap from those dados using a knife, and I'm cutting it to that exact width. I can use these as spacers for my glue up, and if I get lucky, maybe for some of the drawer spacers in the final piece. I need mirror image stop dados on the side panels, and I don't have enough room to put the fence on the far side of the blade. So I cut the first one using the fence and the tape as my stop mark. Then I used that piece, flipped end for end, to line up my miter gauge and set the stop block for the length of the dado. I checked this against the knife marks I made on my second piece to cut to make sure that it gets me the alignment I wanted. Then I can slide the fence in close, not touching, so that I have my stopping point mark. The feet are created by cutting away the middle portion of the sides of the stand. Use whatever you can find as a radius for the roundover. A jigsaw takes away most of the material, and then the drum sander cleans it up to a nice round corner shape. Glue ups for dados aren't too stressful if they fit relatively well. I do like to be able to pound on the pieces down against the bench, hence the spacer blocks that I cut earlier. Just make sure everything is seated real well before you get the clamps on it. I had to reorient the piece a couple of times in order to be able to do this, but it wasn't really a big deal. I did end up with Frankenstein's monster for clamps when I was done though. I cut spacer blocks to make gluing in the drawer separators a no-brainer, and yes, I was able to use that stock I cut to width earlier. Once the glue was set, I used the router to cut a 1/4-inch rabbet in the back of the cabinet. This will receive some 1/4-inch plywood to be the back of the cabinet. I'll have to come back and chisel these corners square too. I think that looks better than rounding over the corners of the back material. Speaking of roundovers, I took a 1/16-inch roundover bit and a trim router to every sharp corner on the project. Those of you who've been around the channel for a while will know the routine when it comes to finishing pine. You have got to put some sort of a pre-finished conditioner on it. The hard and soft or winter and summer grain on here have such massively different absorption rates that if you just put a stain or a dye or anything with color on here, you're gonna have a streaky, blotchy mess. You could buy dedicated pre-stain conditioners, and they definitely have their place. But for my money, plain old diluted shellac seems to work great, at least on pine. It's a 2-pound cut in the can. That is way too heavy. You put 2-pound shellac on here, you're gonna get 0 color out of your stain. So we're gonna dilute it with some denatured alcohol. Probably gonna do 2 alcohol to 1 shellac. That'll give me between a 5 and a 1-pound cut. Should be just perfect. There's no real magic to applying shellac as a sanding sealer. I'm just using a paper towel, making sure I get good even coverage, get the shellac everywhere. I pay special attention to saturating any end grain as it's extra thirsty. Once the seal coat is dry, you're gonna come back and re-sand basically the whole piece. Now it's tempting to go up in grits. I originally sanded it to 120 so I could go to 180 or 220, something like that. But the goal is to take most of that shellac back off of the top of where it didn't soak in, the harder grain. So go ahead, go all the way back to 120 and then work your way up through the grits to get your final finish so that the shellac is pretty much only embedded in the soft grain. With the case largely complete, I can turn my attention to the drawer boxes. Drawers are one of those things that used to give me some angst, and then I realized nobody pays any attention to them. So I changed my technique, started making my drawer boxes very simply. 1/2-inch plywood, butt joints, glue. There's really nothing to them. The only trick is you gotta keep your dimensions consistent. You gotta use stop blocks when you cut fronts and backs, stop blocks when you cut the sides. Everything's gotta come out exactly the right length so that when you glue the box together, it comes out perfectly square. I don't have an undersized router bit to deal with the 1/4-inch plywood for the drawer bottoms, so I'm making the dados in the sides and the front using multiple passes on the table saw. I make all these dados all the way through because they're hidden by the drawer front in the front, and I really don't care if they show in the back. Not only is it easy to make the parts for these simple drawer boxes, but they couldn't possibly be any easier to assemble either. Believe it or not, butt joints and glue are enough to hold this thing together because the bottom is plywood and the sides are plywood, and so this drawer is just not going to move that much. The case that it's in is going to move sideways, but that's the direction of the slides, so we don't really care about the drawer. The only thing you really got to watch here is that you want complete glue coverage, but you don't want squeeze out, at least not on the inside of the drawer if you can help it. It's a real bugger to clean up in there. Just gonna put a dab or two of glue here on the bottom. You don't have to glue it the whole way across. You slip one side in, you slip the other side in, and I'm gonna put the clamps on it, and for right now, I'm mostly concerned about clamping across where the bottom of the drawer is. We'll get the top in a second. And the back of the drawer gets glue on both sides and along the bottom to get glued to the drawer bottom. Once the glue is dry on the drawer boxes and they come out of the clamps, they get the 1/16-inch round over treatment on all the sharp square edges as well. This includes the vertical 90-degree joints on the back. The fronts are going to be covered by the drawer front, and I want a nice clean line there. Since I installed my drawer separators with spacer blocks, I really only have to make sure that the drawer slides are exactly square to the face of the cabinet, and in my case, exactly flush with the face of the cabinet. The slides themselves have a little bit of adjustability in the slots where the screws go, but try to get it close. I should have taken the slides apart to mount to the drawer boxes, but I was being lazy. Doesn't matter, the only dimension that's critical is the spacing up from the bottom. After everything's installed, I check to make sure that my drawer boxes are flush with the front of my cabinet and that everything operates as smooth as a baby's butt. Once the drawer fronts are cut to size, they get decorated at the router table with an OG bit. You'll notice I have a backer block here and I'm doing the end grain first. That's important because these decorative profiles almost always blow out on the cross grain, but you can clean it up when you cut the long grain. I'm a big fan of the double stick tape method for installing drawer fronts. I've got a spacer block to get the drawer front lined up relative to the top of the cabinet and my square set to get it in place side to side. Once it's sitting there, I give the drawer a little push from the back side to make sure that the tape is stuck firmly in place and that drawer front's not going anywhere. I can slide it out, put a couple of clamps on it for reinforcement, and then measure and mark my holes to drill through to attach the thing permanently. Note that the holes in the drawer box have to be big enough that the threads don't grip or the front won't pull tight. Well guys, end of the line for this one. It's getting delivered to Mom for Christmas, unfinished, because we haven't had a chance to talk about what color she wants it to be, because she's not supposed to even know she's getting it. And we also haven't had a chance to talk about hardware for poles. So it's gonna go like this with an IOU for the rest of the finishing process, but you've seen me put stain on stuff 100 times. It's not worth holding up the video for that. Hope you got everything you wanted for Christmas and that your 2019 is off to a rip-roaring good start. Till we meet again, stay safe, YouTube.